Okay, for some exciting news, I decided to wait for the next day, and I wanted to let this dry really good so I can scan it and put it into the PDF so you can have this as a copy of the base of it before I start adding more on top of it. And lo and behold, I got some new colors in the mail today. So I did order two of each set that Donna had on her live, because Michael's here in my area, unfortunately, in the smaller city. Um, doesn't always have all the newest colors right away, and if they do, they're usually sold out really quickly. So if you've been playing around with the basic colors and you're starting to get bored and it's time, to kind of go out and branch out and get some new colors, I definitely highly suggest the new ones that just come out. We have, of course, in this set they put in a Diaxin purple and the Parisian blue, and I now have a lifetime supply of these two colors because I've ordered them twice now. I definitely think I'm going to play with that today. And then there's a keepsake rose that looks really pretty, a little bit softer pink. And then the indigo night, and got two kind of yellows here. One's a honey glaze and the other one is a marigold. And these are all satins, so they're all going to give you nice coverage. And then happy green. Happy painting, happy green. So I definitely think we should use some happy green today. And then there's a peacock blue, so it's a little bit brighter and I guess a little bit more peacock inspired. And then there's two lighter colors which I think will look really pretty with the pansies. Like I was saying earlier, to use a really soft tone with it to make the white pansies. I think definitely looking at these two, they definitely might give a really nice cool effect. The Cameo blush is definitely going to give you a little bit more warmer tone, and then the Wisteria is going to give you a little bit more cooler tone. A slight bit of a peachiness, I believe, in here. So once we get these on the plate today, we'll be able to give you the first-hand review on the new colors, and you can see for yourself while I'm playing with them how they look. So I'm just going to put these all up here because I don't want to put them all on my plate at the same time. But we definitely need some elbow room here, so it's always good to be organized and have everything handy but not in your way. So, yeah, this is ready for some more inspiration. So, I think I definitely gonna decide on what size brush do I want. And sometimes you can just kind of imagine how much am I going to spread that out. How big is that going to be? So definitely you want these guys to be bigger than your leaves, your medium ones, right? So then that way it does stand out true a little bit more to the plant. Okay, which is my goal. So I think I want to start with this June berry. So I'm going to put a little bit of that juniper there, and I'm going to definitely play with the Cameo blush, I think, right now. And definitely we're going to need some white. So the nice thing about, I just grabbed a new plate for all my flower colors, and the nice thing about me using the floating medium inside here is, definitely you can change your plate. You still have your floating medium here. You don't have to always put new floating medium on your plate. So it does last a little longer than the plate paint does. But it does tend to get a little thick and goopy too if you leave it for too long. So then I do just take a tissue and wipe out all that goopy stuff and put in some fresh stuff. So yeah, we'll start with that. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to start with my 8. I'm going to just dampen my brush a bit. Okay, so I didn't really soak it in there. It was a dry brush to start with. So I should get some pretty good success. So what we can do here is side load a little bit of this lighter mixture. Okay, because just to give you a quick update here, I was out in the garden today and my pansies are really looking full, so I definitely want to try and show this one for you. And you can see how many of them are all like really close together. And this was one plant, so it's really happy, and it's got some new shoots coming out all over the place. And so you can see a nice side view of one there off to the side. And those are the lighter ones. So definitely, you know, you can add just a very small titch of your Juneberry in there, or Perfect Purple, just a very small amount, just to kind of warm things up a little bit more. Okay, so you definitely want a lot of white, and you just want a little bit of that soft tone, because you can see 3/4 of that flower. So here I am side loading on my plate here as we talk, and I'm trying to kind of match this color right now. Alright, so let's get back and put this in here. So I don't want to really take too much more room up at the top here, so I can go over my stem a little bit, because, you know, realistically it is coming up underneath it. So you could use the top of that stem as a center point, or you can go up a little bit higher and just cover just a bit of it, so then you can still have some of this tip of your point here, so it looks a little bit more narrow right at the very tip underneath your main flower. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just kind of put that one in there, just to kind of say I don't really want to go any lower than that. Okay. So then we're going to come up at the top, and we're going to start our stroke. And it's a little smaller brush, so it's, you definitely want to come right in and have a pivot point into the center. Okay, and that'll widen it right out for you. So if it's not standing out enough for you, then I can go over that stroke with a tiny bit of juniper and make it a little bit darker. Okay. And you can see that I'm actually getting some really neat streaks in there, and the second load actually pushed some of my lighter load up. And when I scan this, you're going to say, oh, that's how you did that. So it was just a fluke in a way, but then it's kind of, you know, a lot of times you will get more of a streaky look, but because you're doing like a shell stroke, it'll follow that. So sometimes we got that streaky look when we're doing our one stroke leaf. So with these ones, they're basically light like that, and just a little bit of dark all the way around. Okay. So you can choose to do one a little bit smaller, and then you can do one a little bit bigger. So then that way it looks like it's kind of tipped a little bit more. Okay. Like I said before, you can always go back and compare them and see how you like them. And then just softly kind of blend that darker color, so then that way it's just kind of on the tip, and you're not going to push it down. So then I can go right over here and add another one. Definitely need a little bit darker color than the cameo blush to make this stand out. Okay, so you should try to focus on coming back in the middle, so then that way you are going to cover. But if you don't, if you're missing a little bit of space, then you can always just dab in a little bit more white in the middle to fix it. Okay. So you definitely want to have your bottom leaf to be a lot more stronger color, so it pops out. And then you can do it in both directions, depends on how you're sitting and if you're comfortable. And it's, you know, going good for you this way, then you can always make a nice big one there. Okay. So at the top here, just to make it a little bit more simpler one, I do want to kind of make this one stand out a little bit more. And especially at the top here. Okay. And if it's a little bit globby, just soften it out a little bit. Sometimes I'll even just ever so lightly touch it with my finger and pick up that glob and touch it up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do the center and all those little streaks in there as well, so then that way it will, you know, fix any of those things that you're worried about in the center. Okay, so let's darken this up here a little bit now. Okay, and if you feel like you're not getting enough dark, you can always wipe out that color and go back in again, and then you'll find yourself a lot darker. If you have too much white and light in your brush. So with the one that I did flipped, okay, we'll do something like that for over here. And you can tip your paper over sideways if you want, just to make things more comfortable for you. If you're right, so the two back ones are basically one here and one here. So then that way, when you go to do your center ones, you'll have room here, and then you'll have room over here and here. So these ones are pretty dark on the outside. Hold your paper down. So I'm going to put one that way. And then I'm going to start at the top and work my way down, so then that way I get the same direction. If I go this way in, then it'll look like a spiral. If I go this way and do the strokes, you will see a little bit different angle. So it'll actually fan out. Okay. Then you can go in and do a reverse one with a lighter color on top. So what I did with my original was I added some dioxin purple into there, so it picked up a little bit different color. if you're not happy with it, you can always go over it again. But I suggest just to keep moving on. Okay. So then you can do those two and then a big one. And then two and a big one. Okay. So if you're not happy with your shape here, because I did go a little lopsided, not a big deal, just start a little bit lower, and then you can just come down, wiggle a little bit more, come down to the point, down to the point, and then you can make that a little bit bigger and fix it. Okay, so I didn't really go higher, but I did try to come and move myself lower. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry now, and we'll add the leaves later. Okay. So, I definitely want to play around with some more new colors here. So let's add, of course, the Parisian, or the Dioxin Purple. And let's see what this honey glaze looks like. So I did see put my lighter colors at the top and my darker colors at the bottom. So that way they're already automatically in the area direction that I'm going to be putting in. Okay. So let's try some of this. So in the top petal, I often will use a white with the Dioxin Purple. Okay. So we can start up there. Let's try to do this so you can see me. Okay, so just a little bit of color on the ends will give you a lot more white popping out. Okay, so then I'm going to actually do 3. No, let's add some of this gingerberry in there. Okay, and then we'll do, I've got a hair bristle that is acting up to somewhere. A little bit more gingerberry there. And we don't need a lot of white because it'll loop up in the middle more, but we do need the dark color to spread around for us. And then if you want, you can wipe out that, add a little bit more dark again, and then add a little bit more of the darker purple in there. So that it breaks it up. So you're going to layer it over it. There's still a hair on this brush. There we go. So just be stubborn more than what it's giving you a problem with. Okay, so let's wipe out some of that white, and we're going to pick up some accent purple and this new brilliant yellow. Okay, so this is the honey glaze. And we're going to make this one a little bit more simple. Okay, so your accent purple needs to be a little stronger. Just tip it with a little bit of inside. I want that one a little bit bigger. Back. And make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So that's 3 already there. Let's figure out if we want to do some more, eh? Why not? Well, I do definitely want to try and do one that is with the wisteria. Let's put that up here. And so we want quite a bit of white showing through. Okay, and let's put a new one right here. Now you can see already that I'm going to have to do 2 coats here because of the green leaves behind it. But most of it should be pretty good because I did leave a little bit of a space there, so it's a perfect spot to pop in another one there. So let's just make this nice and big. And then I'll put 2 down here. Put 2 there. So what we'll do is try to add a little bit more paint there to cover that a little bit more, and also color in our center a little bit more. So that gives us a little better coverage there. By the time you finish all 5 strokes, a lot of times it is starting to dry already. So then you can go over it. We just had the side of our house painted black at the top of our house, and then we're going to change some siding. And we painted it on a previously white vinyl siding. And we decided to go with black, and the guy came, oh, 2 coats will cover it. Okay, no problem. We went and go and let it dry. The next day in the sun, we're looking at it, and it's like, yep, it needs a 3rd coat. So, you know, sometimes you just got to do that. You got to make sure that you just expect to do that extra coat. And when you're overlapping, so a lot of times I try not to even overlap too much until I got that coverage better. And then when I'm done, then I will definitely go over it, and then I'll overlap it at the last time so that you can get the results that you're looking for. Okay, I'll just darken that a little bit on the camera so that maybe you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I'm definitely going to let that one dry and come back to it and add another layer over it when it's dry, okay? Because that's when it's not gonna get all goopy on you, and you'll get a much better result. Okay, and then at that time, if you decide that you want a little bit darker shading, then we can add a little more dioxin purple in just the very center and get just a little tiny bit more of depth into our center. Okay. So usually, a lot of times, to make it easy for the eye, 3s, 5, 7, odd numbers are always good. So we've already done like 3 to full type ones, so we definitely think that we should add a little tiny bud to our arrangements as well. So I think I'm going to go with the white and dioxin purple and our juniper. Because it's just starting to be my new favorite combination here. So I think I'm going to put this one over here sitting slightly on the leaf. So this is just going to be your little tiny bud that's coming out. And a lot of times it's pretty straight at the top, so try not to have a lot of variations in your wiggle. Okay, so just a basic little tiny bud. So what's going to make that look like a bud is the greenery around it. Okay. So let's see if we can get a little better coverage there. Okay. Alright, that's much better. And then what we can do is add a little bit more. And if you want this to be a little bit stronger berry wine, come back over here and then pollute it. And you still will have a hint of that dioxin purple over here. And it won't be so... And if you feel like you just need a little bit more, then you can come over and pick some up over here. And then you're going to get just a little bit more brighter tone. Okay, so let's add another one over here, and this one we're going to play with a little bit differently. Okay. Nice. And let's go back over here. So you definitely want to be happy with it if you're going to layer another layer. So what we can do here is just put a little tiny bit of color over here. And then to make it look like it's really tipping over, there's a little bit of a curl there. And then again, I'm going to tip reverse over, and we're going to put one that is just small again, but a little bit lighter. And so you're not going to see this one here because it's tipped right up at you. And This is where you can just do a fine little line and it'll look like it's joining in there. Another way of doing it is just like a very, very, very small little daisy stroke. Okay. So you'll learn how to curl a lot more flowers in the project classes that I'm going to have as well. So you can just put a little daisy stroke in there, or you can try and do some curls in there. Okay. Alright, so let's rinse our brush and come back to our white pansy. So I'm going to reload our brush. And this time I'm going to add just a smidgen of that dioxin purple. Okay. Make sure you've got lots on your white side. Okay. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to ever so lightly pick up some dioxin purple. Okay. And then I'm going to redo these strokes. Okay. So hopefully you don't have a lot of dioxin purple. If you do, just kind of come back and just try to pick up less. Okay, so because you just really want this concentrated in your center. Okay. A lot of them do have and then you can tip both sides. So I tipped a little tiny bit of dioxin. See how tiny that little dot is? And then definitely a lot more white. In. More white, just a tiny little bit of dioxin purple. So like I said, it's kind of really hard to get that white pansy. And a lot of times you're going to put those little streaks in anyways with darker color. So I've seen them really white with lots of dark streaks. And then you can always make them a little bit. I did that one already. Like I said, some of them are a lot of white in them. I know I'm a fussy one. And you can always just tip it in a little bit of dioxin purple and add a little bit more dark in there if you're not happy with it. Kind of buried that little stroke up. I'll just do it again. So I'm definitely going to add to that as well. So we have our 5. Or we have N1, don't count because it hasn't really come out yet. Anyways, that's enough Pansy replay for now. So I'm going to let you guys catch up and play, and I always like to give you a spot where you can stop the video and continue on and finish your work, and then start the video again when you're ready to continue on with the next section. So we're definitely going to play a little bit more with our greens now and finish our centers and decide where we'd like to add a little bit more folds into our design.